side of it.
Hey guys, just sorry.
And
Pretty
he
good
brings the
investment.
education side as well as some other expertise because he comes from the theater world and debate and that sort of thing. Here's our team, and because we like to have fun, it's all pictures of babies. All of this is in your packet, so you can go through it and see what each of our responsibilities are at a very high level. When we do any communication externally, whether Jacob does it on social media or I do it externally with traditional media, employees, whatever, we tie the message to one of our core values. If you look at our social media posts, you'll see hashtag LPSS safety, hashtag LPSS growth. When I do a press release or anything external, we weave one of these into that message, and or that the core value is also in whatever quote you'll see from Superintendent Touche. And if it's not there, he reminds me. So we really have a focus on these core values. And as you saw yesterday with the superintendent, this is part of his goals. So hopefully this plays into what he will be able to present to you guys, the board, at the end of the year and or the beginning of next year. Areas of media we handle, of course, you have external media that's covered through news outlets, any interview requests, communicating important information and or updates, as you've seen with the winter weather. Requests by school media liaisons and administration. We often get emails from principals or somebody to say, hey, we need help, we're having this event in our school, can you get us some coverage? And we make sure that we do that to the best of our ability and not just identify what that opportunity is, but how it will get, what way to frame it that it will best, that it has the best chance of getting picked up by media. Of course, crisis communication, that kind of ties into the winter weather thing. A lot of these do bleed over into one another. Social media dissemination of information. Jacob does a great job of having his social media campaigns, and you'll see some examples of that a little later in the presentation. Again, rooted in our core values. Standard clearance. The principals, thank you chiefs, have become acutely aware of if there's media on their campus or if there's someone that reaches out to them for an interview, or even if to the point if they have something positive planned, they let me know, hey, we've invited the media or they found out about this, can they come? They've done a really good job of that, so thanks so much to the chiefs. And when you guys see that, board members, please know that we work really closely with them at the school level to make sure that that gets as much coverage as it possibly can. This is the flow of crisis communications. We aren't the lead, as you see it filters through the principal to the chiefs, and then of course to Jennifer, and she and I work very closely when there's an issue. And this is a lot of times again with an emergency situation, whether it's a gas leak at a school or a potential threat to a campus and a campus needs to be sheltered in place or locked down for whatever reason. And we do our best to keep parents informed without getting too far in the weeds, because a lot of times we don't have those details. And some parents do email me and say, hey, what's going on? The media will call me. Of course, because when parents get that, it's scary, right? It's scary to get a message that says a school is sheltered in place because of an issue in a nearby neighborhood. So we do our best to communicate that when we can, because sometimes law enforcement is involved and they don't give us the clearance to release that information, or they don't give the full details to Jennifer. These are the ways we do communicate with our stakeholders, and again, by stakeholders, that's parents, that's community members, that's you guys, that's the superintendent, that's anybody who has any kind of interest in the school system. Traditional media, we'll look at that. Social media, of course, J-Campus is big. This is for staff, students. Email, we also do email. You might have seen, if you're an LPSS employee, then you saw that email go out because we have those groups. We have all school board members. You often get those emails as well. Our website, we are really ramping up our efforts right now to clean up the website because there's some outdated information. That is a big task. We have the whole team working on that because there are so many landing pages. And hopefully everything will be updated within the next couple of months, but it's going to take us that long because in the meet, it's not like everything stops so we can just update it. It's kind of within the workflow somewhere around the crisis communication and around other things that are happening. But my goal is to have every piece of information on our website. People should be able to go to lpssonline.com and find anything they need. Whether it's a school calendar or the uniform policy or are we closed or good news about a school, that's the mothership. That's gonna be our mothership. And then of course we have a quarterly newsletter that goes out. And we decided on quarterly because we felt like there were a lot of stories going on. Doing a monthly newsletter, at least right now, is very cumbersome, and I'm still kind of getting used to all of this. But this has been working fairly well because we do push out so many media releases, because we do push out so many points of information between newsletters.
Tracy, let me stop you right there. So going back to the slides before, and I'm gonna say this to you as board members, and not that you have to attend this, but we're gonna do a better job that if something is happening at your school, like a celebration, or something that, hey, you might wanna get there, I'm gonna make sure that Christy is putting you on an invite. So there will be invites even more than you ever got before. We want you to know if something is happening at Woodville, if something is happening at Fall. We want you to know that this is happening, and we want you to be there. If you can't and you have work restraint, that's understandable. But I really want to make sure that this school year, or this year, that we're doing a better job of making sure that our board members are knowing when our team, like for example, we have Principal of the Year, we have Teacher of the Year, we have all the, listen, we're inviting me and we're making big deals out of it. I want our board members to be involved with that.
Absolutely, and we also, for events, we have created, and I'll share this with you, Christy, it's an Office of Communication calendar where if any of us know about what's going on in the schools or there's any kind of event, it goes there so that our whole team can see it, but I'll make sure that it's shared with you and you can look in there and find out what's going on, and then if you want to, then you can figure out which school board members you want to invite, or so you'll have access to that.
Can I make one more request too? Like, I know that I've been invited to like read at schools, but I mean, it's not like an event, but it's something that gives us an opportunity. So maybe just, if you could communicate, when you do communicate to principals, that if there are those opportunities where we can come and just even volunteer, and if they need help in the cafeteria at some of the schools, you know, something like that, it'd be great if we knew about those opportunities, or they thought to put us on emails to include us.
Absolutely, yeah, that's pretty easy. We have a duty-free lunch coming up on January 29th, we just haven't talked about it yet.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And along the same line, I have asked my principals to copy me on their newsletter, but for some reason they say that they can't because I'm not in their J Campus.
Okay, the J Campus questions are gonna be for Jen.
Right, so
Yeah.
they can't add me to their distribution list because I'm
They
not
can
on
personally email it. The J Campus works with the class you're scheduled to or the site you're assigned to. But they can physically email, since they're attaching it, they can do an email, yes. But in J
There's no way
Campus,
to add us to a
we
list.
can ask, but it's usually, it's tied to your location, so your location is central office.
Right.
So the parent or the cafeteria, their location would be Woodville or would be Milton. So you can't be assigned to two different locations in J Campus. But I will see there's another way around it, we can't change the location.
All right, thank you.
Social media best practices, and Jacob's gonna show you some of the campaigns that he has. They're almost common sense, but just keep in mind, be transparent and be human. A lot of times, the reason for that separation, the reason people feel so disconnected is because we try to talk too much, you know, and we aren't human, we aren't transparent. Assume it's public and permanent. Bob will probably underscore this for you. If you post it on social media, they can request it, everybody's gonna see it. It doesn't even matter if it's just your friends, because you might not know who's in your friends list, doing a screenshot and then sharing it out. So be very, very careful of about thinking that what you post on your personal page is just that. Understand confidentiality, that's where Bob comes in. There are certain things you can't talk about, whether it's, with FERPA or HIPAA or whatever, those kind of things. So understand that. It's much better to ask a question than to do it and then get in trouble for it. And I promise you, I am a living, walking, breathing example of, I'll ask a million questions, I don't have any problem with them stupid. I would rather be right than arrogant. Accuracy is key. We've had some situations where you guys didn't know about something or whatever. If it gives you cause for pause, again, kind of playing in with this, ask the question. It's much better because they will screenshot it, they will take you to task. You guys have seen that in action. If you have any questions, if we don't know the answer, we'll go find the person who does. Usually it's general, but we will help you navigate that. Does it pass the face-to-face test? I loathe keyboard warriors. If it's not something you would say to somebody in person, don't say it on social media. Because, well, you know. But believe me, I think Rick would be face-to-face. I don't think we have a problem with that. So just think about that. And also have a thick skin. We have seen this in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
And look, I can tell you, I can share stories with you about this. It's difficult because when you pour your heart and soul into something, when you truly care down to your toenails, and somebody comes at you and doesn't understand that passion or doesn't believe it, it's hard, right? Everybody says, oh, it's business or it's not personal. Everything's personal when it hurts. But develop that. You know that already. Just keep it in mind because they're going to come at you. And sometimes that's going to be valid and we need to take it on the chin, and sometimes it's not, and they're speaking from a place of hurt or anger. So just develop that thick skin.
Question, and it's maybe related to Bob. Bob, when it comes to social media, Facebook pages or whatever, can we limit, like, block people who talk to us as that? What's the legal status of that?
Well, it's pending before the United States Supreme Court.
Okay.
They had a case out of California, which the Ninth Circuit District Court said you cannot unfriend, I don't even know the terminology, you can't unfriend somebody because you don't like what they say about you. And that was, the district court ruled that way, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed, and writs were taken to the U.S. And the reason the U.S. took it is because there was a similar case out of Ohio where they got exactly the opposite ruling from both the district court and the Court of Appeals. So you have two federal appellate courts with different rulings, and so that's one of the unusual cases where the U.S. Supreme Court will take it to resolve the differences between the circuits. I'm hopeful that they'll go the Ohio way and not the California way. You know, those people in California are kind of different anyway. But we don't have a final answer yet on that.
Gotcha.
And I'll tell you, in doing this, I read a lot of different things, and from my previous life, and Bob could probably speak more to this, and a best practice I didn't share on here, but it's if you have a page from your campaign, as a school board member, keep the two separate. You have a personal page, and then you can have that page. Keep the business for the business page. That's a thought. That's difficult. It's cumbersome. We had that, again, in my previous life. It's difficult to manage two pages, but it may help you keep some boundaries up, right? And you know that you won't post that on your public page. And some of the legal stuff I read, Bob, please throw something at me, is that if you have a public page, let's say or you get a profile, it doesn't have to be a public page, right? David Lejeune, school board member, district, whatever. Make sure that you have any of the regulations, if you will, for your page listed on it. because you start to get into some free speech issues. If somebody says something ugly and you delete it, then you're in that territory where Bob said, and he's gotta go to court and defend you, or whatever the case may be. It's a very slippery slope. You notice on some of the closed group pages, they have all of their rules and regulations. You can't say anything ugly, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. If you decide to have a separate profile as a school board member, you might want to think about putting that up at the top or having it pinned somewhere so that that language is there. And you don't look like you're picking on somebody just because they said something you didn't like to do.
I do want to say, just because it's a public meeting, my Facebook page was hacked, but apparently the hacker is acting as me. He's posting for me. He is writing back to my friends. So just, and I think, I don't know what he's doing with my public page, which is, also linked to that, because I can't get Facebook won't let me back on. Anyway, just so it's a public meeting, I can maybe share it. I don't even know how to share it, because I don't have a Facebook page anymore. But yes, that is happening to me, and I don't know how to stop it. I also don't have a Tesla, Ford Ranger, or a paper house, but I love that it looks like I do.
Yeah, right? I saw that.
So
That's,
anyway,
and that's
but I don't know what
scary.
to do. I've tried to stop it. They've changed all the information. Facebook is like, oh, we got some kind of identifiable information for somebody else. This is not you, so they won't even shut it down.
Yeah.
So.
And that's scary. That happens
Yes,
on Instagram.
But they are
It's not
commenting
just
and writing
hack,
back to
it's-
people,
yeah.
and it's me.
Ooh, it's frightening.
Yeah.
It is frightening. Any questions on this before we move on? I'm trying to go fast to get y'all out of here. Jacob, I'll let you talk about this because we wanted to give you guys some insights as to where we've moved and the progress that our team has made since July 1st.
So one of the good things about like Facebook and Instagram is that they have the metrics page that we can access in the business suite. And one of the reasons why I like that is because my mom always said, if you're not winning, you're not trying hard enough. And we were winning because if you look at all of our metrics, we are up in every category. So published content up by 20, interactions up by 27%, stories. We started utilizing video because Tracy, when she came on, was very much like, you have to have stuff moving. You have to capture their attention. We're up 250% on story interaction, 377% on video interaction, watch time's up 200%. We grew on Instagram. Me and Ms. Julie, I remember when I took over that part of it, we had 19 followers of Instagram this summer. And we're up to about 700 right now. So Instagram is slower because not everyone has it, but we're gonna get there. And then even on LinkedIn.
TikTok is banned tonight, so like.
Yeah, TikTok.
We don't want to talk about that right now? It's 12 in the morning. But even in our LinkedIn, which is something that we keep talking about how we need to find ways to utilize it more, we're still up 41% and 20% and 20%. So as you can see, we are trying everything. Tracy and I are always talking about probably boosting posts. How do we get our reach further? Because social media is not the only place. And it's not even the first place some people will go to for information.
I don't know.
Well, but it is a tool. And if you look at these districts, I love going to these districts across the country, like Broward County, and then like in California, Houston. They utilize their social media so well, and you know what? Why broke it? Why change it? It's not broken. Because I'm gonna try to steal what they're doing. So this is why we're doing this. We're measuring it every day. We're checking like what times we should be posting. But that's just a little bit of our metrics.
Something that we are going to do, we talked about boosting posts, we're going to do that appropriately. Like when we open pre-K registration, we will boost those posts. When we open kindergarten registration, we're going to boost those posts because, and we're really going to have a big push this year, just so that you guys know from an asterisk, around kindergarten registration. Because we need to catch them coming in.
Yeah.
Pre-K registration is important, obviously, but they've got to go to kindergarten. So, and the other thing we're going to do, and this is in development right now, we will have a campaign name, whether it's I'm a Big Kid Now or something like that, so that we don't make it sound like kindergarten registration is finite. Because people can register, kids can register, parents can register their children year round. We want to focus on that time period, but we don't want to limit it. So you will see that, and you'll see us boost some posts, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, etc. We will do some media around what's happening in our kindergartens. So you will see a big initiative there, because in that battle against charter schools, let's get them coming in.
Yeah.
So that's, you will see those things across social media.
Can I ask one more question? I know we're time crunch, but I know each school has like Facebook pages, and then I know like SPED. Holly was talking about the SPED page yesterday. Like, how are we tracking that? How are we working with that? Like, are y'all doing that as on the side?
Every school Facebook page comes through our medicine, so I can see and access all content on it. They have their own media liaison. So at the beginning this year, I had a presentation of the teacher in service. We assigned liaisons at every school. I have a Google Classroom where they will send us information that we can get to Tracy for cool schools. They have to post so much a week. And I can, like, if you have been watching Facebook for the past 2 years even, what the schools are pushing out now is incredible. Some of them are like Prairie, Acadiana, they're just doing incredible things. And so we watch them, they all come up on my feed because they're all on Meta, and that's how I get a lot of the shares that I'm doing. Now, we have World Language and SPED, they have their own. They're doing great things, but they're not through our Meta, but I'm still following them and tracking them and using them to push out anytime that we have something that we can showcase. Because we were very skeptical with special education because of the legal aspect of it. But whenever Holly took over, I said, say, look, she knew it right.
Yeah.
So,
Great job, John.
Does each of our campuses have a social media person?
That the social media liaison we talked about.
We-
And some are more active than others, some do a really good job of keeping all that up. Some of them are a little slower to start. Typically, it's not the principal, but like at Gillette, you'll see Jenna Vincent really hop in because, you know, and it's just their personalities, right? But they keep every single school has a social media liaison.
So do you give them a plan and a suggested,
Cadence.
cadence? Yeah.
we came up with like a calendar, so I made, at the beginning of the year, I made a calendar where it was like once a month, what I expected them to share with me, things that we could capture with like live video and news. But also, I had a whole like a one-sheeter. Two every time, like according to this, whether this value, like 2 posts a week informational, 2 posts a week that were like human interest. To give them, now I think after this year I'll have more info to help guide them, like some of the things we're using, CapCut, all those video things. Because a lot of times they would ask us like, hey, how'd you do this video? We don't have anyone that's familiar with it. So I think that's the next step, is helping them utilize the tools that we're already utilizing.
And from a district level, we may identify a post that's like really good and then share it. The winter weather thing this week, we sent an email to all the social media liaisons and said, share this from our social media to yours because we want that unified messaging, right? Something we did, I think, around Christmas is we told them we're going to be watching, and if you have, like Santa, and if you have something really good going on, we will take it and create a post at the district level. And we did. We, grabbed different pictures from them and shared it so that we could celebrate them. So we try to work in very, in a really cohesive relationship so that we know what they're doing and they know what we're doing. Does that make
And
sense?
so are you said you're using a calendar, are you having them use like a certain app that helps them plan out their calendar so they can automatically? My concern is that a teacher or whoever's doing this would be distracted trying to like maintain this social media monster, when they should be concentrating on something else, if that's not their sole responsibility. So
Because we're utilizing Google Classroom, what we have done in Google Classroom, which is the best site ever, and I never used it until I was in assistant principal. We set up these weekly push outs of, hey, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do this, to help remind them, because you're right, they're crazy busy. But I don't know if at the school level, if they have access to their own Meta, like the business side. On our end, we have the calendar that will remind us, we can schedule like weeks ahead of time. But it would be, if they wanted to use a planning or a tracking thing like that, it would be at the school level because it costs, we looked into the money wise. It's
Yeah.
insane.
It's very expensive. We looked at something like we were using, or we have been using something called Classroom Intercom. It limits the number of users that can be on there, the number of profiles. If we had expanded it to all 46, 47, 48 sites, it was gonna cost us like $40,000 a year. It's not worth that. If the return on investment were there, that would be great, but it's not. And so that's not something that we do. And I think that giving them the opportunity to develop their own calendar gives them autonomy. Because to your point, there are some that have more time to spend on that, or they like to, it's something that really energizes them, right? Like they enjoy that. And so it's not like it's a mandated thing, like if you don't do it, there's penalties in place. But as we've gone along, we've seen more people buy in because they see the benefit. And I think that's where we are with social media and the liaisons. I think we'll see them become more active just because they see the value in it. You had a question, Amy?
Yeah, it's not about social media, just going back to your website, you said you're going through that and making certain all the landing pages are up to date now. Is there some expectation at the school levels for them to do that as well? Making certain that their website is up to date, there's no old information on there?
Used to be. There used to be an expectation, cause like as AP, like last year, I remember Ms. McGee had ours at Como. And then at the end of the year, we realized information was like a whole year old, because you, as assistant principals and whoever's doing it, the website is not user friendly. The form, like the whatever.
The platform
The platform is
itself.
not user friendly. So now Blaine has kind of,
Campus Suite. is
Blaine has started going through and helping and trying to make them all universally the same.
Yeah.
Because the website, Tracy had this, she was talking about it, she didn't want the websites to be their place where it's individuality. Like, oh, show your creativity here on the website, no, that's for your Facebook.
Yeah, some uniform.
So that's what we've been doing.
That was our goal. You'll notice, and they all should have done it, on their, like for their profile pictures, it may have their logo in the middle, but it's experience the difference. There's a the halo, I call it a halo, it's a frame, but it's a halo around it. So we've tried to increase that uniformity, to your point. But they do have editing, I think, capabilities on the website, but so does Blaine. So if there's something egregious that you see, please let us know. We can fix it on our end.
To Ms. Amy's point, is there, you know, I know we're working on our page, but is there a deliberate effort that someone is going to evaluate all of these school pages just to make sure that, what you just said, that information has changed, you've changed it. I mean, if you have a new administration that needs to be there, because a lot of things that we're probably seeing is that some of these things, somebody's not attending to it, not changing it, and it's just not good perception from the public.
We started it was this year.
Yeah.
Like Tracy had got with Blaine, and Blaine is taking the time, he's going through every single page slowly, because it's tedious, but he's going in, making notes of what's out of date, what's not there. Some of them,
And that's on all the pages on, I mean, think about it, you click on a tab, and they might have 4 or 5 different options, and I'm talking about LPSS Online. Well, that might, I'm gonna use pre-K. You go down to registration, you click it, there's a landing page. Then you click something else, and there's another landing page, and you click something else, and there's, so in one,
Why can't we just click and go to something?
because of the way the information has to be disseminated is what I'm getting. Also, there's people to work with, right? One of the things that we're doing is we had LafayetteChoice.com. Well, that was on the Firefly platform. We are taking that, and it's going to be an LPSS platform where LafayetteChoice.com is simply a pass-through URL. It is a very involved process, and we are working as hard as we can to clean all of that up. And not so much involved, just tedious. But to your point, Amy, that's what we want. We want there to be certain things on a school's website that they can get information about that particular school without them getting too far in the weeds. Because what if somebody who's all gung-ho comes and, oh, they changed the website, it looks great. Well, then that person leaves, they go to another school. We have seen a lot of that. So we're trying to make the school websites 100% informational and uniform to alleviate that. And whether that's putting the Facebook feeds on it, or there's some options that we're looking at. Right now, we do keep an eye on that, but we are really trying to clean up the LPSS Online
And
website.
I know that's a heavy lift, because I did that in my own employment, and that's like a year to 2 years.
Yeah. And like I said, we have the whole team working on it. When we were here Friday, Thursday, and Friday, I told Sherry and I asked Olivia, I said, help Blaine, pick up Click, go through it, see what is outdated, see what you can change. Our COVID guidelines are still on there, you know, and return to school. Like, I know, and so again, I'm not making excuses for why it's taking so long. I'm just trying to let you guys know we are working as hard as we can to make that very clean. And user-friendly for the parents. I mean, how frustrating is it? When we've seen it, you've seen it. They go to the website and they can't find something. You know, yes, it's there, but it's buried. even me, I've had to go to Google what I want from LPSS, and have Google pull it up for me because I can't find it on the website. That's frustrating. That shouldn't happen. Okay. This is our media tracker. We started this. If there was one that existed before I came on, nobody can find that information anywhere. What we do is, and Sherry keeps it updated for me, and I send that link out when I do your updates each week, the one that goes to the superintendent. It lists all of the stories that we find. If they're linked online, then we have them. If they haven't been published, it's harder to find them. I will oftentimes email my news stations directly and ask them to send me the clips, and they're pretty good about that. I'm probably not gonna want the ones from yesterday, but that's a little different. That's a little different. But those also go on, as you see. There are times we're gonna take it on the chin. There are stories that are not gonna work in our favor. But I am happy to say that right now, more than half of the stories that are published have been positive. Neutral just means that it's just an information, so it doesn't hurt us. So as you can see, I'm really proud of that and hoping to keep it that way. These franchises are one of the reasons that has happened. Each week, we are the school system that provides their information for full schools. That's a school that's doing something great. We did the sidewalks at LDO Judy's, the little walking path one day. We've done it at Acadiana High, where it's not here, but we've done the not FFA, but the livestock. You can see them all on the media tracker. Feel free to go and peruse them. French weather is a lot of fun. Our immersion programs have a lot of fun with that. And those principals have done, they have really helped out and done a great job. What KLFY does is usually on Tuesday, Chris Kozart will send us the forecast for the end of the week and the weekend. And then I take that, send it to the French immersion school that is assigned that week. They translate it, and on Friday mornings on PASPA 2, the student is right there giving the weekend forecast in French. It's pretty cute. And then our LPSS segment on Wednesday mornings on Cape Now. We are looking at other franchises that I'm hoping to have in place, if not this school year, the next school year. A lot of these folks, it's low-hanging fruit or just something to plug the hole in a news rundown, and they often look for those. So if I can hand that to them, then that helps. And it showcases the community what great things are happening in our schools. Any questions here? And we will look at the development of that year over year as we go on. Again, I talked about campaigns and franchises. These are the ones that Jacob has running on Facebook. You want to tell them a little bit about those?
And you've probably seen them on Facebook. Choose LPSS is where we get quotes from like admin or alumni. Legends of LPSS, we featured like Ted Davidson. Future Fridays, this was Miss Julia's idea. She came to me with every Friday having a post specifically for seniors, whether it's career or college oriented, where we give them like tools. So she gave me a spreadsheet. She's been putting stuff in there, and so now all I have to do is take it, put a post together. So we're doing Future Fridays. We still have the staff shout outs. On Instagram, we already did the Fight Song Challenge this year, which was cute. I want to expand that to the next one. We have our KLFY French Weather, Cool Schools, our newsletter, and then we have like an art one that's going to be coming up, the Florida LPSS. But we're always looking for ways to showcase all of the things we do, but also being a tool on, like with Future Fridays, a tool to show that we're not just worried about like, oh, we've done this now, but we're worried about, oh, you're going to do this in the future, which is like why we're going to highlight that.
And that's something that we're looking at, especially like for the Career Center and any of the career, especially the certification opportunities that we have at school, whether it's through the Career Center or through one of the high schools, whether that looks like off to work you go or something to that effect that falls in this but may be on the tree. Again, we've got if you come in my office, you'll see my whiteboard because I love my whiteboard. I'm old school, and they have all sorts of notes and things that we're looking at doing. And the events organized. We've done quite a few things. When I was at Cox, the communications department handled internal comms as well, and also was responsible for helping to build a positive culture. And I felt like we don't need to spend a lot of time doing that, but I think it's important. We really need to make our employees feel like they are part of something and not just cogs in a wheel. The gumbo cook-off that the superintendent wanted to do was crazy fun. Our employees loved it, and it raised money for the schools. Treats and story time for Catherine Drexel was a lot of fun. We did the trunk or treat. Our departments got into it. They had so much fun. The kids were adorable. Like, it was just really a lot of fun for not just them, but, I mean, our employees are still talking about it at the district office. And then we did the door decorations and door prizes for Christmas, and we had some little sussies to give them, and that was a lot of fun. They said that the employees told us that they had done that when y'all were located on Chaplain Drive, and they had fun, so they were excited to see that. So when we do have an opportunity, and it's not too heavy a lift, to do something, especially for the folks in the district office, we try to coordinate and facilitate that particular opportunity for us. And that's it. See, I told y'all it wouldn't take long. If y'all have any questions, y'all just email us, call us, ask the superintendent, and, or ideas, we're always open to ideas.
So, just a few things to close up, board members, that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of. I met with the state superintendent last week, as you all were told, and when we were discussing, the subject came up was, you guys were receiving an email